And how's life been for you?
Yeah, I'm I'm looking into this, and the more I look into this contraction that appears in the body, the more I see that there is resistance, and I can't quite see through it because it's like as soon as it appears, it feels unpleasant, and it's I realize that it's very hard for me here to. Everyone talks about accepting it, welcoming it, and giving it space, and even giving it kindness and love, like to these sensations that appears, this contraction. And I find it very hard. I find it that there is resistance to accepting it, to even to letting it stay because it's felt as unpleasant, and there's something I think it's about the fact that it's seen as a weakness by this me that wants to be more and more, that wants to be better, that feels like it's not enough because it's always about this, about being not enough, and
Hmm.
this contraction, this unpleasant sensations are seen as a weak point, a weakness. And so it's hard. The fact is that it's very hard to give it love. It's like nothing comes out when there is when I try to give it love, to accept it, to give it compassion. It's like nothing comes out. It's yeah. That
Yeah.
that's that's where I'm stuck.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I gotcha. Yeah. How do you know you've got resistance?
Because it keeps feeling unpleasant, and when I try to give it compassion, or to just welcome it, or to just stay with it, yeah, sometimes it goes away, but it feels like it goes away not because it's welcome, but because it just goes away, but
Hmm.
it keeps coming back.
Yeah.
And
So what is it that keeps coming back?
the contraction and the unpleasant
Right.
feeling.
Yeah.
And there is also this, the resistance is that it love doesn't come, like kindness towards it
Yeah.
doesn't
Yeah.
seem to come. That's the
Yeah.
resistance.
So I'm getting that you're saying you expect that if you could give it love or acceptance or something, that it would go away.
Yeah, there is this expectation. Yeah.
Right. Right. So what if it will only go away when it feels that it's done its job, that you have heard the message that it's trying to give you?
Yeah. I can see that it wants to be heard. I can see that it wants to be heard, that it wants to be heard. And I also get the message. And the message is about that I need to take care of myself more in certain aspects of my life. This is, I think this is why it comes up, that it's not safe if I don't take care of me, for example, financially, that I'm not taking care of myself financially, and it keeps coming because it wants to me to take care of myself from that point of view. I think that's the
Well,
message
let's
maybe.
if we go just look, let's look at it a little bit closer and go, instead of saying it wants you to take care of yourself, what if we said, and I don't know how right these are, but just what comes to mind, what if we said that it wants you to hear the message to take care of yourself? It's not about
Hmm.
actually taking care of yourself. It's about you acknowledging the message to take care of yourself.
Mm.
Now let's just
Okay.
circle back a second, and it occurs to me that how can you give it love and want it to go away?
Uh, yeah, yeah. Yeah, there is a contradiction there. Because yeah, and that's another point where I'm stuck. I see that. I see that there is a contradiction that it's not it's not sincere if I want to love that just for it to go away. It's not, yeah, it's a
Mm,
contradiction. I cannot love it just because it goes away. Just because
yep.
by doing that it goes away.
Mm,
Because that's not loving it. That's not accepting it. That just trying to fool it to make it go away.
yeah.
Yeah.
So what if the message is not specific, like you need to look after yourself, although that may be included in it? There may be an implication of that, but the message is actually, how do we accept whatever turns up?
How do we accept whatever turns up? So yeah. So the message would be, yeah, it wants like it wants somewhat to teach me to accept whatever turns up like that.
Yeah. So even that's a silly way to put it, because when we put it like that, we're talking about a doing, we're talking about an achievement and so on. So
Yeah.
that's so the message isn't about actually accepting what turns up. The message is about recognizing that whatever turns up has value.
That whatever turns up is listened to, is
Yes.
is
So not
recognized, is yeah, it's not rejected.
yeah.
It's
So a kind of
is acknowledged.
obscure way to put it is, we're not concerned with the meaning of the words. We're concerned with the sound of the utterance.
Hmm. Yeah. It's like about acknowledging it more than
Yes.
doing what it says,
Yes.
doing what it
Absolutely.
seems to
Yes.
say. It's more about acknowledging it.
See,
Yeah.
whatever turns up is whatever turns up. Do you have a choice about what turns up? Do you
No, no,
have
absolutely not.
sufficient control to do anything in particular with what turns up? No. It's
Yeah.
uh,
Yeah, yeah.
so you can call it resistance, which makes it resistance. You can call it contraction, which makes it
Mm.
contraction. Whatever you call it, you create.
Mm.
Unless you use a word like this, which is very non-specific. So there is just this experience happening. And and off to the side you could say, well, this experience is unpleasant, but the moment that you align yourself with it, it changes. And that's not to say that it becomes pleasant, but the unpleasantness becomes different. And what are you doing? You're aligning yourself with it. You're moving in the same direction. You're not, there's no pushing against it. There is no, you're moving in perfect synchronicity with it.
That
And when,
everyone uses these words like having compassion for this, having like loving kindness for this, loving this. And that just doesn't come up here. It's
no, no.
if it comes up, it's very very
Yeah,
it's not the rule, it's the exception. It's very
yep.
doesn't come up very often.
Yeah, and they're all doing words, aren't they?
Mm,
They're all doing actions. What we're talking about is not doing.
mm. Yeah, it's like because I can see that this accepts everything because it's already the case. It already happened the moment
Yes,
it appears into consciousness. So I, I can see that it appears it's unrestrained. It's there are no restrictions, no hindrances, no, and yeah, this kind of acceptance. And I can see that
yes,
this contraction just appears freely without anything. It's totally free when it appears. It appears, it goes away, it's
yes,
totally free. There's no controlling it. It just appears here and then disappears. And
yes.
yeah, that kind of acceptance, it's here. I guess it's words like compassion and loving kindness that throw me off because yeah, like you said, it's something that needs to be done. It's an action, and it's something that you need to do,
Yeah.
and that's
But
where.
ha- having said that, once you allow the current to carry you and you're perfectly synchronized with it, those things may happen.
Yeah, but it can't be forced. It can
It
be.
can't be forced. That's right. So I love the analogy of you're floating in the middle of the river
Hmm.
and you're moving at exactly the same speed as the river. You're not trying to go faster than the river and you're not trying to go slower than the river. You're allowing the river to carry you. And you have trust or you have no mistrust that you'll get swept to the bank and bang into something. You'll stay pretty much in the river in the middle, just because that's what the current is doing when there is no attempt to be different.
Hmm. Yeah, it's letting it be whatever it is,
Yeah.
letting it be. And it's not my love or my compassion towards it, but it's just letting it be whatever it is. And
Mm.
yeah,
And
and
there's
just
another
acknowledging it.
irony, and that is that what it is you.
Mm. Hmm. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So when you come and look at it from that angle, it's kind of weird to think that how can part of you be out of sync with you? How can part of you not be moving at exactly the way you move?
Yeah, it's just a trick of the mind,
Hmm.
seeing it for something else. Yeah, yeah, it's just part of what is appearing here. But yeah, these thoughts are obscuring it totally.
Yeah. So as you're floating down that river at exactly the same speed as the river and feeling really relaxed, and you're looking up at the sky and you see a cloud that takes on the shape of an animal, and you go, "Oh, wow, that's the mind giving meaning to just a cloud. Makes it look like a goat or a bird or something." So the thoughts that turn up that says, "I better be careful," or they're just thoughts. The thoughts that say, "I should go faster," they're just thoughts. The thoughts that say, "I need to steer," they're just thoughts. The thoughts that give meaning to anything are just thoughts. So while you're floating effortlessly at exactly the same speed as the river, thoughts turn up how things should be different, could be different, and they're seen as just thoughts. They don't cause any ripples on the river because they're just thoughts. If we take them to be real, they create ripples, and we're no longer moving at exactly the same pace as the river is. But while ever we see them as just thoughts, they're just like that cloud taking on the shape of something. Can you get a feeling of acquiescence, of allowing life to move you at whatever pace life deems appropriate?
Yeah, the mind also
Sure,
wants
it
to
does.
know what this unpleasantness
Yeah, who cares?
is about, why is it there,
Yep, the
and
mind will do
how
that.
does it work?
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
because it wants.
are we going to become a slave to the mind, or are we going to recognize it for
Mm-mm.
what it is? It's just the cloud in the sky.
It wants to get rid of it, and so
Yeah,
it wants to know how
and
it
that's
works
fine.
in order to
That's
get
that's
rid of it.
fine. So we're talking about our relationship to it, not what the mind is going on about,
Mm, mm,
but
mm, mm.
but what is our relationship to that? What is your relationship to the cloud in the sky that seems to resemble an animal for a moment?
Mm,
Yeah, same thing.
mm.
Your relationship to your mind is just that. The breeze that touches your face. It's
Yeah.
just that. That's the relationship that you have to your mind. And if you don't,
Mm.
that's also just that.
Yeah, right. Because the mind is always about doing something, but this is
Yeah,
about the relationship
yeah.
with that.
Yeah.
And that is, it's not doing, but it's the perspective, the the point of view, the
Okay.
the
So
angle.
what if we said there is never ever going to be what you might call right mind. What we're looking at here is a wordless place. We're looking at experiencing that cannot be adequately defined or described.
Mm.
And the mind can only use words and images. And they're all about giving meaning to some mythical something. So the mind wants this, the mind wants that. So what? That's just the cloud taking the shape of a bird or an animal. Now it's a goat, now it's a cow, now it's a big bird. What does it mean? Absolutely nothing. It's just amusement. It's entertainment. That's all the mind is good for at this level is entertainment. It does have uses, but not in this place.
Yeah, yeah. It's just that everyone keeps talking about
Well, who gives a fuck
compassion
what
and
everyone
loving
says? Come
kindness.
on.
Yeah, I know,
Yeah.
I know.
You're the only authority. You don't listen to what I say. Don't listen to what anybody says. You're the only authority. And what kind of an authority are you on this stuff?
Mm, 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 mm.
What everybody says, that's just what everybody says, yeah, and it means something from their perspective. But from your perspective now, it's pretty meaningless. It's another trick of the mind to grab your attention.
So there's nothing to do with it. Just
Absolutely nothing. Yeah.
it's just there. It's
Well,
just there.
so that analogy, what do you do if the breeze touches your cheek when you walk outside? Do you yell at the breeze and tell it to go away? Do you feel annoyed about it? Do you comply with it? Do you do? No, you just
It's already there. It's
acknowledge
already
and
there.
that's it. It's just there. Yes.
Mm, yeah.
Well, it's the same with thoughts. They deserve no more attention than the breeze that touches your cheek when you walk outside.
Mm, mm. Yeah, I think it's also because of the this belief of not being enough, and so that I must listen to what all these teachers say, and so I must learn to love it, to have compassion, to have loving kindness towards this.
Yeah,
And
it's a
so,
perfect
yeah,
sales
yeah.
technique, isn't it?
Mm,
If we tell you that you've got wrinkled skin, we can then sell you the thing that'll get rid of your wrinkles. If we tell you you're not
mm,
beautiful, we can sell you what you need to be beautiful. We it's just a perfect sales technique, and your mind employs the same techniques, doesn't it? Firstly, it
mm.
tells you what you're not, and then it tells you how to get there. Well, good
Yeah.
luck. How's it worked out for you?
Mm. Yeah. Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy.
Yeah. It
It
is
it
crazy. Yeah.
always it always finds the mind always finds the way to just snitch in and hook you
Yeah.
back.
Of course, because it's you. It knows exactly where all your buttons are.
Yeah.
Mm, yeah.
Yeah.
And just because
Yeah.
we've had this conversation doesn't mean it's going to change that. Something will be different, but it will continue to try. It can't not
Mm-mm.
until until it recognizes that you've got the message that it has a place. That's when we'll find that the mind actually is useful, but not in this way, not for this stuff.
Mm.
So what you're looking for here is a wordless world, a world where no description, no definition carries anything of value. It's wordless. It is just experiencing. And it's experiencing that is not described. It is experiencing that is just experienced. Oh, that's a bit weird, isn't it? But there you go.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's so free when it's wordless, when it's, yeah.
Yeah. All the bars of the
Yeah.
cage are built with words.
Hmm. Okay. Thank you so much, Vince.
Oh, thank you, David.
Oh,
Yeah.
this will be recorded and published, right? So I
Yes, this
can
one
watch
will.
it,
Yes.
watch it again because I want to
Yep.
watch it again. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. It's funny how we're using words to change a worded world.
Hmm. It's so yeah, it change it wants to it's all about it's like a monologue. It talks about itself to itself. It makes questions and gives answers. It's like talking to itself.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. It doesn't touch anything
Yeah.
outside itself. Anything
Yeah.
outside what this monologue. Yeah, yeah.
It loves the sound of its own voice.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Thank you, David.
Thank you so much.
Mhm. How have you been, Anne?
Life is very smooth at the moment. When I read your stories, sometimes I notice that I'm not there yet, but it's not the problem at the moment. It feels it feels like my life is changing a lot. I not I can notice it when when I'm doing things different from before with less effort and yes, but I can't I can't explain it or describe it, and I think I've stopped a bit to try.
Yeah, excellent, excellent, good stuff. Yeah, yeah. So that thought, that feeling that you're not there yet, that will probably never go away. When you are there, you'll still have that.
Mhm.
The difference will be that it won't matter. You'll celebrate that there are still things to discover. So maybe the difference between not being there yet and being there yet is just the familiarity with that 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 feeling.
Mhm.
So if you say I'm not there yet because there's more to discover, because you still get triggered or whatever. I'm not there yet either. Yeah. But I don't care.
Yeah.
Every discovery is worth celebrating.
Yes. Yes. Discovery is like seeing that there is no distance, or because I know there is a distance, I have to move there.
Yeah, that's an interesting one, and that's something that what will become familiar for you is paradox. Right? So I know there's no distance, yet I can measure it. I can take steps and I can count them. I can work out the distance between here and there. Am I measuring an illusion? Am I measuring? Is it? It's only there if it's relevant. So if I need to know how long something is and I measure it, then it's relevant. But that's length, not distance. Yeah. It's a tricky one. See, so in my perception now, is there distance? Or is there only the illusion of distance? I can see both. I can have both. I can have no distance and I can have the illusion of distance. I can see that wall I'm looking at over there is 5 meters away from me. But I can also see that what I see is no different in distance to what I see that is only a foot in front of me. So there's a kind of a paradox in that stuff. And it depends on what perspective I'm looking at things from. If I'm measuring it to build something, I'll call it length. If I'm looking at Google Maps or Apple Maps to work out how long it's going to take me to drive somewhere, and it tells me I'm going to get there in 37 minutes, is it distance? Is it a useful concept that I'm playing with? I can call it lots of different things depending on which way I look at it and for what purpose. Time doesn't exist yet. I look at my watch and I go, it's going to take me 37 minutes to reach there. And I have an appointment in 39 minutes. It's appropriate to use that for what it is, but what it is isn't actual. It just suits the perspective. So I make an appointment to go to the dentist and it's next Friday at 4 p.m. I put that in my calendar and then I forget about it until my calendar reminds me. Is there time involved? Or is there images of me going to the dentist, me driving, me leaving in time to get there for an appointment? There's lots of things in experience, but there's no distance and there's no time. But the concepts are useful. That's where we're faced with this paradox. Yeah. And we go, so what? It's just a paradox. It doesn't matter. Life is full of paradoxes.
But I don't have this view yet.
Yeah. Yeah, it takes time for these things to happen. There you go. It takes time. Yeah.
Yeah. Sometimes if I'm looking through curtain and can't see the outside world very clearly, then I can see this like a picture, like a flat picture, but not always.
Yeah. No, I don't have it always either.
Mm.
It's almost like I can switch in and out of it. And it's somewhat interesting, but it's not a big deal.
Yeah. Yes. Not important. No.
No. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. My feeling about where you are and what's happening for you is good. And that's because I respond to my story about what's happening for you. And it feels good. I like it.
Makes me happy. Thank you.
Thank you. How's things been for you, Shaheen? Shah Shah?
Hi, Vince. How are you doing?
I'm better. Yeah.
Yeah, I think I echo Anne. I'm in a good place.
Good.
Mm. There's um, there's this ease that has come back.
The what has come back?
The ease with
Ease.
which
Yes.
days pass, and there's joy in all the little things. And yet there's the sense that there's motion. There's as if I'm going somewhere. Like the Sufis say, I'll meet the ocean one day. And there's a surety now that, yeah, I don't have to rush it. I don't have to paddle the boat.
Yeah, excellent. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Your
I
face
think,
is like the sun. You're shining.
oh,
You're,
thank
you're
you.
emitting. Yeah, I love it. Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah. It's interesting how the inner is quickly reflected on the face. Mm.
Yeah. Good stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
I say good and I say it's good, but what I mean is I'm
I know.
enjoying the feeling that I'm having.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah. I know. This is beyond right, wrong, good, bad. Like I
Yeah.
like to say, it's lifing.
Yeah. Excellent. Yeah.
There are moments when there's this sense of personhood, and then there are moments when it's just flow, and it's okay to feel like a separate individual person. And there are moments when it's flowing and I don't have a sense of that.
Mm.
Yeah, right now it's okay either ways.
Yeah. Yeah.
This that denying and the kind of I need to fix feeling like a person, that's easing. That struggle not to feel like an independent person.
Mm.
So that eases a little bit now.
Yeah. Perfect. Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah. Of course,
It's
there
okay.
are there are
Yeah.
times when it's totally appropriate to feel
Mm.
like an individual, like a
Yeah.
separate. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's just a feeling.
Mm.
You know? does the wave ever stand up and say it's not part of the ocean or it's not the ocean? I don't know. I don't imagine though. Mm.
And yet I don't yet fully feel like the ocean. Yeah. But I
Mm.
mean, in this moment, it doesn't bother me. It drove me all these years, it drove me because I wanted to feel like the ocean.
Mm.
And these days it doesn't bother me and I'm okay.
Yeah. And that not bothering may well invite that feeling
Mhm.
or not. We don't know.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah, I mean, I had a glimpse of it once for a few seconds, just a few seconds.
Mm.
Ooh,
Yeah.
so beautiful,
Beautiful. Yeah.
so beautiful,
Absolutely. Yeah.
so beautiful. Oh, that day I was singing and dancing in the streets.
Yeah.
I I hugged a man on the street. I gave him my food, and because he was me,
Mm.
that day was beautiful.
Yeah. And you
It
feel
just
you feel a little bit of it right now, eh?
absolutely, yeah, just the
Yes.
memory of it. And it was so vast, it was so beautiful. I remember I was in the bathroom and I, uh, the moment that this waveness was lost, I looked at the tile and I said, "Ah, I'm a tile. I'm a tile on the wall." I looked at the toilet bowl and it was the most beautiful thing to be. Yeah, but it lasted just for a few seconds.
Mm.
It was
But it
very,
knows the way.
yeah, I hope so.
Yeah. And just remembering it will give you a taste again.
True.
Yeah. And it's too sublime to stay there forever.
Mm. I I needed to hear that because sometimes I make also that as my goal, and I
Yes.
wasted a few years. I thought being that way all the time was how this journey was meant to end, and that was the goal.
Mm.
And I twisted myself in not trying to get there.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. And do you get now that this journey probably has no end?
Mm, yeah. But I've read, um, I've read a very profound book where the author talks about that it's just an endless journey of discovery, and we don't need to rush to get at this point, and then we are done and cooked and baked. Um, yeah, but in my being, I haven't fully accepted that.
Mm.
Not yet.
And maybe you won't. Maybe that's what will keep you going.
Yeah.
Who knows? Yeah.
I also see maybe, sometimes in my journey also, I've noticed what gets healed at various stages is very interesting because I see that some of the things that didn't get healed very early on were the engine that kept me going.
Yes.
And they
Yes.
needed to stay unhealed to provide the propeller
Yes.
action.
Excellent.
So,
Yes.
so even today, when I look at some things and I'm like, oh, I have the urge to fix it, but I can't find the tools to fix it with, or the right retreat, or the right guidance. I can just ease into it. I like, oh, maybe I need it right now.
Mm.
Maybe I need this unfixed thing for something I don't understand as yet,
Mm.
but is working.
Yep.
But what I am fully convinced of is I'm in the river. Now I have no doubt that it's going to the ocean. It'll meet the ocean. I have no doubts about it. Now I don't feel like, I'm off the path, I'm on the path, which was my struggle in the early years. Oh, I've always was like, full of guilt. I'm off the path. Now I have to get back on the path. Now I'm like, I'm already on the highway. I've always been on the highway. I never left the highway. I can't
Perfect.
leave
Yes.
the highway.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's a lot of ease in that.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Because it's not like, I have to do it. I have to do it. I have to do
Mhm.
it. There's a sense of, the river's doing a little
Yep.
bit of it. The highway is doing its
Yeah.
thing.
And when the river gets to the ocean, does it stop? That was synchronicity, wasn't it? Right on the word stop, she froze. The video froze. Perfect. Yeah. Mm. How are you, Jayan?
Hi, Vince.
It's been a while.
Yeah, it has been a while. Yes, I used to read what you produce, which is wonderful. It has been a little bit slow for me. More just resting. It's not contemplation, but just resting. I would say not a lot of reading and watching videos and stuff like that. More of a noticing what is going on, and it seemed to um, show how this is created in that sense, specifically the sense of another and the sense of me. A little bit, not big experiences or anything of that sort, but generally the mechanism of thought. How does it operate? How does the narratives work? Whenever there's a movement, whenever there is something being sensed, how does the thought catch on it and ride on it?
Mm.
How does the body contractions collude to create a separate me?
So
So
are you taking that very seriously or holding it very lightly or somewhere in between?
very, the seriousness also is noticed. I noticed it as I realized I'm taking it so seriously, something like wanting to win a battle. That was also noticed. And this morning when I saw your poem about a me that is not there at night, That was hilarious. That was so, I just felt exactly, this is exactly how I feel. The moment I fall asleep and the moment I wake up, there is nothing. And then a me, I is created. So word by word, I read it a few times and I just felt, yeah, exactly. This is how it seems to be. And then there was more noticing and it kind of triggered something, some more detailed noticing of how this works. Um, so I noticed how when my wife is not in the room, then her image comes up, and then I'm having one image is having a conversation with another image, and then when she enters the room, still an image, and then there she is, I'm here, and then there is a the other being created and the me being created and the past and the future and all the arguments and defense and what I want to say, but nothing is actually happening there.
Mm.
And I said, and a thought came up, I want to share this with Vince. And then that took over your image and your face in my mind and how I want to say this and the script and editing the script, but nothing is
Yeah,
happening.
it's
So, yeah,
beautiful, isn't it? I love that you're noticing this. It's curious and curiouser, isn't it?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. It's curious. Nothing is there in my present reality in the sense the senses. It's not here, but it's all happening as thoughts and sensations and contractions and the past and then the future and everything else. And I also saw something very important, some aspect of my relationship with my wife and some aspect of my relationship with you and Marius and people who I put on a pedestal and an authority who can give me something. I saw that as well, the compulsion to share and describe something, which probably is not what I'm describing. It can't probably be described, but the compulsion to describe and get a brownie point and be somebody when I meet you, when I see you, that compulsion was so intense. And I realized I'm trying to describe that something that I can't describe. I can't even describe a sensation. What exactly is it? I really can't describe. I can label it. So I saw that dynamics of seeking, expecting something from you, and it has been going on for a long time. But now I think I see it a bit more clearly that I'm going to get something out of these meetings. I'm going to get something out of you. And also the reluctance and maybe out of fear to attend the meeting and speak. That strong fear also hiding as resting or relaxing or I have no time or something like that. I also that as well in this
Mm.
morning. So it was pretty intense morning with intense sensations in the body and all these dynamics being kind of revealed in that sense.
Do you find yourself disapproving of anything that turns up?
One thought used to argue with the previous thought, and I saw that mechanism as well. That even though I get a sense that these thoughts are not connected, it creates some kind of continuity and disapproval of a previous thought or an image. So
Mm.
yes, a little bit of that still happening.
Mm. So it occurs to me that a possible portal for you, a valuable doorway into something, is the recognition that what you have been seeing, you've been seeing that all of this has no reality. But what if what is real is created in exactly the same way?
Hmm. I get a sense of that. And then the question comes, oh my God, then what is left? It's a thought that comes up.
Yeah. Yeah, good one.
It's a thought
Yeah.
that comes up, and then more thoughts take over and doesn't let me pursue it any further. So I don't know. I'm kind of I kind of get a sense that yes, all these could just be something that's I don't or I consider this as real, and that may not be true. That may not be what this is. I get a sense of that, but I don't know how to approach that or what else to do with that.
Okay. So can you marry up that which is not real to be the the same as that which is real, or the other way around? That which is real is also that which is not real,
Yes,
unreal.
yes, I see the similarity between that between them. I don't. I see that the boundary between them is kind of becoming thinner in that sense. Like
Yes.
I imagine someone in my mind like your face, and this one when I see you is also colors and shapes and my interpretation of what this is. I'm attributing a winds to an image
Yes.
there and assuming a person inside there, so there can be a person here. So if I just stay with the senses, then I am seeing it clearly that it's all colors and shapes and movements and whatever without labels. It's just movement. Maybe even that might be too much to say. I don't know. But the moment
Mm,
label starts and thought starts, then it becomes real. That's what I see.
mm, mm. So when you can see that you project something in order to create a self there, can you can you can you see that creation of a self and the creation of me is the same thing? So before when we say one is real and the other is unreal, we have separation. And when you see that what it is a perpetual loop that is the same thing, it is the same loop. The part of you that creates you is the same part of you that creates me, and that there is no separation.
Yes, yes, I can see that. Momentarily, I can see that, and I think uh, what hides it in a way in the sense is what I noticed is either a fearful thing that I want to get away from. Like I grab a thought and feel it's real and the body contracts because I don't want it. Or or a thought that a desire that I want something. So when this kind of um, push and pull happens with thoughts, then this mechanism is not clearly seen and just get carried away by that. And the separation feels real for some
Yes.
time. And then once I let loose of that thought, then it's very clear how this mechanism operates. Fear seems to be fear, shame, guilt, reluctance, all that stuff seems to play a big part in this
Oh
creation.
yes.
Yeah, that's what
Yeah.
I see.
That becomes the creator of separation.
Yes.
Yeah. But also, this is very subtle. Also, if you just experience that from a slightly different perspective, just maybe 1 degree to the left or right, that same thing can be the creator of non-separation, or the creator of you are it and it is you. You are me and I am you.
I have a conclusion to that effect. Like, I feel it's too big to say it's all me. I feel a little bit of a resistance to say that, but it's all one mechanism. It called
Yes,
God or me, or I get a sense
yes,
of that because there is nothing separate from what is experienced. This one experiencing is everything. There is nothing outside of it. So how can there
exactly.
be
Yes,
another or another person or a thing or anything? So that seems to be making sense to me.
yeah, 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 good. Whatever you experience is you. It has to be. It's your experience.
Mhm.
But it's not just an experience of or an experience by. It is the totality. It is experiencing. It is everything.
I think there could be a practiced habits of what I think I am, like the body and my image and my past, and it seems still grabbing onto that small image so that I can't probably see the big image and accept it. It looks that way to me.
Yeah. So it's a very small shift to see that that is just one snapshot of a totality of everything. So it's not that we want to stop that. It's not that we want to kill that. We don't need to reject that. That is also part of the whole.
Mhm.
But it's just one snapshot. That's all.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, that don't have to eliminate one to become the
Yes.
other. Yeah,
Perfect.
yeah,
Yes.
right. Yeah.
You can't. If you eliminate that one, you create separation again.
Mhm. Mm.
It's it's weird. These paradoxes again. It's weird that it's only the acceptance of rejection that can make rejection something other than rejection.
Mhm. Mhm.
Yeah.
Yes, there is this thought, and maybe going along with it to end this and get over it and um, get done with it. When the intensity in the body becomes too much and thought storms just kind of invade the space, then the other thing is not seen. I want to get over this. Also, the lack as well, the lack that I haven't maybe comparison and judgments that I haven't gotten there.
Yeah. Well, that is also part of it.
Yes, yes, makes sense. Yes,
Just one part though. Yeah.
yes, yes.
Yeah. All the judgments are just part of it. There is nothing that is not this, not included in this. Nothing.
There are a
And
lot of sorry, go ahead, Vince.
you go.
Based on readings in the past and interviews watched and books, and there are lots of concepts in the head and some things to chase. And that's also, I think, I'm noticing that, like, um, um, what is it? Example. Okay, I still remember that somebody said this is unknown, this is unknowing, this can't be known, and then the mind starts chasing unknown. The mind
Yes.
wants to know what is unknowing. Doesn't make any sense, but it still happens. But what is this?
Mm.
I don't understand. I don't see this as unknowing. I want to see this as unknowing. So a lot of energy and a lot of stuff goes in that direction as well. Then the mind comes up and says, "You haven't got it yet."
Yeah. But the answer to everything, the answer, that's a joke, but the answer to everything is welcome. You haven't got it yet? Welcome. Great. That's just also part of it.
When you say these things, it just calms down, and then there is no further urge to do anything or seek anything. And when I read your poems or story and do that investigation, it comes to that place. And then what comes up is the next thought of what do I do now? What is what is the next thing? I can't. It seems to be like this, that the mind has been. I don't want to say mind is a separate thing, but it has been so comfortable with this seeking, chasing, and the misery of trying to chase something and avoid being here. That seems to kick off, and the system seems to love that misery through practice, and so it wants to go with the next one to
Yeah.
chase rather than staying where it is.
Yeah. Which is also fine. It will do that until it doesn't.
Mm.
Nothing can arise that is not this. Nothing. Even not wanting this is this. The mind will do what the mind has been trained to do forever until it's retrained into something else.
Mm.
It knows nothing else. It doesn't know. The mind is as mindless as the breeze outside. And we can apply meaning to the breeze. We can talk about low pressure areas and high pressure areas and movement of air, etc. But they're just stories. The breeze itself touches you. Does it know it's touching you? Your mind says, ... Does it know what it's talking about? No more than the breeze knows it's touching you. Can a thought know anything?
No, it doesn't. No.
No. It can know as much as the breeze knows. It's something that is just there. Some thoughts give rise to pleasant reactions. Others give rise to unpleasant reactions. How that works, well, we can make up other stories about it, but we don't really know. We don't know the results of our conditioning. That stuff just sits at an unconscious level mostly. So we have automatic responses to what we've been trained to respond to. And it's not like we have to see what that training is and what it's about in order to fix it. We just recognize that all training is just training. All responses are just responses. and we learn to hold them very lightly and not be concerned about meaning, unless that happens, and then we're not concerned about that if it happens. For years and years and years and years and years, for 45 years, I lived in the future until one day I discovered something I cannot define, but I describe as this, and realized that my description of this was actually a description of the past. So I went from living in the future to accepting the past. But I didn't do anything, it just happened. But I also recognized that I couldn't know anything about what was going on because all I had was my conditioning and my biology to decipher what was going on. So it was just my version of a story. I couldn't know. So I can't know anything. I don't even know that I don't know. I just don't know. And boy, that lets me off the hook. That's great. I also like my story of where you are. But part of me wants to say, don't give yourself a hard time. Just enjoy it. You're in a good place. I love that you can laugh at what you see. That's really valuable. There's nothing missing. There's not. There's nothing you need to learn. But discovery awaits. And the crazy thing is we have no idea what we're going to discover. And when we discover it, we still won't know what it is we've discovered.
That's crazy, yes. Thank you, Vince.
Oh, thank you, Jan. I had some great stories tonight. Thank you, everybody. That's been great. Yeah. How about you, Tammy? Where are you up to?
Hey, Vince. Um, I guess I have two things to report. I'll start with the negative first. Just tremendous sadness. Someone in my life has left. And they've been in my life for a few years, and I felt a tremendous support in them being there. And yeah, I had moved out of living with family a few years ago after knowing them. And anyway, I just kind of feel like the ground has been pulled out a bit, and just a lot of fear and anxiety when I wake up in the morning and stuff. So it's just like a bit difficult, and I'm afraid of, like, as if it's all been a mirage and I'm just going to get magically thrown back into like pre-meeting them, and I'll just become a mess again, and a little bit of that is like coming up. So yeah, I've been trying to like be brave and explore things, and when the feelings come up or the thoughts come up, I've been trying to look at them differently or stuff. Um, and that has brought some interesting things. Like one morning, it was like, oh, is this all it is? Some sensations in the body and thoughts about it. Is that all I really have to deal with? But at other times, the waves come over, and it's just,
So
yeah,
I'm hearing fear and I'm hearing sadness.
yeah.
Would it be accurate to say that you fear letting the sadness get too big?
Yeah, I guess if up till now I've been practicing like opening up to sensation and allowing it. Now it feels like the practice should be the opposite of like, no, you're going to get too dysregulated. You've been too emotionally and intellectually honest your whole life. Like, sorry, in other words, as if I allow these things to take over me too much, and that makes me too emotional, too much of a mess. Like, without this support in my life, I have to like pull up my big boy pants and like, in other words, stop the flow of emotion, kind of like go the opposite direction of like,
Mm,
no, no,
mm,
no, stop spiraling, don't let your mind go out of control, don't let your body go out of control, like as if I have to like now go in the opposite direction of like damming up.
mm.
um it just seems like I still have so much to do in order to get to an okay place, and it just feels like a little bit insurmountable or lost without like support, like
Mm.
on the human level of like helping me shape my life or something, or guiding me, or in like practical ways.
So can you describe or just have a go at describing what what would that support look like? What would it be and what would it allow in you?
I guess I look at it as like, here we deal with things of like outlook and attitude, and how to deal practically with like emotions and thoughts and outlook in a very, very broad sense to all of life, and applied in all kinds of ways and applicable in every moment, and all kinds of inquiries and stuff like that. And this to me is just more like when it comes to the nitty gritty of, I guess, I guess it just feels so open and scary of like, because I haven't set up my life externally, and it just feels, I don't know, like I didn't really launch. Like I'm just now kind of leaving the enmeshment of my first family system, but I'm not in other words, you're supposed to do this as a teenager, and I'm doing it after a life has passed by. And so I've not set up, a marriage, children, work, friendships. In other words, I've not set up the externals.
Mm.
And I feel a bit lost with that. And because of, a lot of stuff in my makeup, whether it's anxiety or whether it's just my mind goes in 17,000 different directions, um, it's just, I just guess I feel I need some kind of something, a sounding board or help or something moving forward, like,
Mm. Mm.
because I have to be like gentle and careful with myself, but I also don't want to use that in order to avoid life. And my mind starts to go a bit berserk in like what's practical, what's reasonable, just how to move forward in a sane manner and in what directions. And um, yeah, I just don't have that kind of social feedback so much. I don't have people in my life to mirror back to me.
Mm.
Hey, you love that. Like just simple things like this person told me that I love teaching choir. So when an opportunity came up after more than 10 years that I hadn't conducted, someone asked me to conduct again, and I said, no, I can't do that. And I'm shy, and it's across the world, and I have my across the city, and I have my health stuff. And she's like, no, you love it, and you could do it in your sleep. You don't need a ton of energy. And I'm like, no, I can't do it, and I don't like it at all. She's like, you love it. Anyway, so 6 months later, they kept asking me, and I'm doing it, but like, I don't know, just any kind of external feedback. Um, just like friendship and guidance along the practical stuff of life. And I just have it's a hole right now in my life. I'm really, really missing any kind of, yeah, like, all the stuff I bring up, whether, should I start dating and what does that look like? And will I get too dysregulated? And, where to proceed with my work stuff and what areas to put, just everything. It just feels like things are open and yeah,
Yeah.
just
So if you come back from a more general thing back to the specific of what it is that you experience both fear and sadness about, the support that would be valuable to you is really it doesn't have to come from a specific source, right? Am I getting you right that you for a moment there you were kind of talking about it being appropriately coming from a family, but then you kind of went out a little bit and said, it wouldn't necessarily have to be that way, that it could come from a friend or somebody that was supportive and you didn't say non-judgmental, but I'm presuming that about what you're experiencing, eh?
yeah. In other words, my thought for most of my life was that it's a natural thing to come from family, and that's what I brought. But now I'm realizing that I was the older sister, and they still are always going to see me that way, like I'm the one who gives, and
Yes, yeah.
they see me as like a pseudo parent, and they don't want to, like, now that they're older already, they don't. And I thought, okay, now we can be friends, or now it could be reciprocal, but
Not.
they
Uh,
still see me as the one who's there to,
yeah.
yeah. And so I don't get that from family.
So you don't expect to get it from your family, yeah.
No, no, yeah.
And friends, am I getting it right in the story here turns up that friends don't you don't think they know you enough to know what's really you?
Um, yeah, and I haven't made adult friends in the last few years. So my friends are from high school and we're less and less in touch, and they no longer live in the city. So I see them very
Yeah.
infrequently. And we have deep conversations, but very infrequently. And so they're very valuable in my life, but they don't really know me. I mean, they
Mm,
do, but you know what I mean? Like they're not, it's it's wonderful, but it's not like a day to day or week to week kind of sounding
mm,
board or guidance or helping me like just feel okay or sane or co-regulated or reasonable. I don't know.
mm. And presumably there is nobody professional in your life that you would see in this way as a support mechanism. You don't
Right. So
have a
this woman was a professional. She wasn't exactly, she was a very unique blend. She wasn't certified in anything. She had a bachelor's in psychology and she had been working with people for 30 years. And she had a website and it sounded like me. And that was it. And within a few months of meeting her, I my whole life view of myself and my family flipped. Within our first session, I was just it flipped the whole thing around and I was able to move out on my own. And it was just I had moved in with family for a decade and I thought I'd never get out with all my anxiety and my health issues and my mental health. I didn't know how to get out. And within a
mm,
few months, bam, I was out, but I still feel like there's so much still more growing that needs to happen, and I don't know how to do it. And she wasn't able to take me further, and now she's retired. And I'm like, help, but I'm still a tiny girl. Wait, who's going to guide me
mm,
over the next humps? Like, okay, I've
mm,
gotten out and I've gotten a little bit of a sense of self. Like, she was the first person in my life that said to me, you're okay, you're good. Your perception of what's happening with your family is real. How you perceive the world is reasonable. You're a fine person. Like, in other words, I was able to open up to her about my family who I'd always wanted to protect. And so my friends never knew anything. I always just spoke glowingly about everyone in my life. I wanted to be a good person. I wanted to be uplifting. So no one knew what was happening internally. And with her, when I told her stuff, I'm like, but it must be me. I must be doing something wrong. That's why they're behaving this way. I'm trying to perfect myself. Please help me be better so they will be nicer more of the time. And she's like, no, 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 you're fine. Get out of there and find other people. I'm like, no, no, you don't understand. Anyway,
mm,
so it's just like the beginning and I'm just like waking up and then with you I'm waking up in other ways and I'm just like but I'm still a tiny girl, help, I need sane
mm,
people to
mm.
mirror back reality and help me move forward and know what I like or not like because I'm so conditioned to like fawning and saying oh yes you're wonderful to everything and ignoring myself. And I don't know, I still feel I need
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
anyway, whatever.
So what's where you this specific situation, that person that left, did they die or did they leave?
No, she retired.
Oh, okay, that's the person you're talking about, right? That
Yeah.
person that helped you, yes, right. So that left you feeling unsupported or rather pretty vulnerable, eh?
Yes, really so. And because only after meeting her I was able to leave, she was like my pseudo mother or like bridge out of there. She was like
Mm,
just voice of like, and in the last year I wasn't meeting her very often, but it was still that drip of like sanity or reality check of like
yes,
just
yeah,
that
you knew it
same
was there in the
healing.
background, yeah.
Yeah, and she didn't change her mind. She wasn't like fluffing me up one day and then putting me down another day. Like her views of what was going on in my life were pretty consistent, and so it gave
Mm,
me a sense of trust that maybe I am okay. She's not going to
right,
one day
right.
say I'm okay and one day not. And
Yeah.
anyway, I know all of this is ridiculous. Like as an adult, it's like I'm
No,
like,
no, I don't see it
but
as ridiculous. I wonder if the message for you though, from a meta perspective, is that you're able to now be your own version of her for yourself. what do you think she would say about the fact that she's retired and she's no longer there in the way she used to be for you? Would she say what I just said, that you can now be your own authority on this stuff?
So right before we hung up, I said, well, what do I do now? Do I try and find someone else? Do I find a therapist, a coach? Like, what type of person do I even need? Like, what do I do? And she said, I said, you enabled all the, all these change. Like, my life is completely different. And she said, I live across the world from you. You did all these things. I spoke to you once every what? Like, she's like, whether or not you find someone else, I don't know. You'll probably be fine. And you have, Zooms, you have friends. Like, in other words, you'll see. She wasn't like, oh my God, you're a mess. Find someone. But
Yeah. Yeah. So
she did
what
really
what you
set me
just
up. And
said,
yeah,
what you just said that she said was that it was you that did this stuff, not her. But you don't buy
yeah.
that, eh? Yeah.
I, yes, but I didn't do it before I met her. In other words,
Yeah, yeah,
I
she
don't
was
think it would
involved,
have
but
happened without her.
right, but yeah, but still, what she enabled was you to open up to yourself. You took some authority. I won't say responsibility, that's not the right word, but you took some authority from a hidden place and put it into a more prominent place as a result of your interaction with her. Would that sound accurate for you?
It doesn't, I guess, even feel that way. It's just when she opened my eyes to how they're treating me and how I'm behaving back in return and spending hours taking care of them every day while they put me down, it just brought up so much anger. I could no longer do the patterns anymore. So it wasn't even like I did anything. It was just like the seeing of it, I just turned white hot with, I just couldn't keep
Mm.
caretaking while being put down by them and not getting any, I just couldn't. And so the whole thing just kind of blew up because I wasn't spending 2 hours every morning, like placating various
Yeah, yeah. And so,
members. And
right, so it also blew out. So what happened
yeah,
was that you took a different view of life as a result. You did it, right? What from what she said, you had discoveries, you had realizations. Have
yeah,
you?
and everything she would say, I wouldn't even believe. I thought, oh, she's just being nice. So then I would go online and research, 20 hours for every hours we had, and just started educating myself about stuff. And that gave me a little bit of a backbone, but I don't feel like I did research and insights happened, but I don't feel like, and then, and then my father said, I'll help you. So I couldn't have done it without all of that. It's not like I suddenly became this powerhouse and made life happen. I'm still feeling very
Yeah,
dependent. And
yeah.
yeah,
So you might say the world colluded with you. Yeah.
yeah. Just feels like a
So,
miracle that happened. And I'm afraid it'll unhappen now that she's gone. But
oh, yeah. Well, yeah. I love this concept. It says he satirically, sarcastically, or something. I love this idea of undoing things. You can't. How can you undo? How can you unsee what you see? You can't. Of course not. Every experience changes you. So you certainly might move forward into something chaotic, but you can't go back to where the way it was ever.
mhm.
So I'm inclined to think that life has colluded in a way. This is just a story, of course, but life has colluded in a way that says, okay, Tammy, time for the next step. And when life says that, it doesn't give you a choice. That's it. That's it. There you go. You're at a crossroads and you can't walk backwards away from it. You there you are. I personally have no doubts that you can dig deep and find resources in yourself to handle this situation. I mean, when you think about it, apart from the conversation where she said goodbye, how long before that had you spoken to her?
Every few weeks.
Right. So you went a whole few weeks based on what, your memory of a conversation with her? Or not even that a lot of the time, I presume. So you went a whole few weeks. And then if we're going backwards, you spoke to her for what, 10 or 20 minutes? And then another whole few
No,
weeks.
spoke for a long time.
Yep. So certainly in between times, you were using your own resources and they were taking you in a good direction. Now, here's a trick. You don't have to identify those resources. You don't have to know what they were in order for them to be real. You just have to know the consequences of them, and that is that you've had good times and you've had bad times ever since. But the bad times have ended, so have the good times. But you've had them all. Life has gone on in a kind of a direction, and that's been fairly positive overall.
Yeah, it's just I feel like it's something about two things. One is about responsibility. In other words, it feels too much for me, like insurmountable to take responsibility for these things. Like, do I start dating? Do I put someone else in my life? And what areas of work to do or friends? These things seem huge and insurmountable to me, and also the responsibility of what directions I take or what I do. It's like I need kind of someone else to say my life is okay, or this is a good direction, or will be okay, or will work out, or this is reasonable, or this will be good for you. Like it's too scary for me to live life. In other words, too scary
Yeah,
for me
yeah,
to make
I
decisions,
get it.
and I
Yeah, yeah.
need to pretend someone else is in charge. You know what I mean? Or they're
Yeah,
approving, or they're ensuring, they're like a parent overseeing that things will be okay or something. I don't know.
yeah. Answer me this. What do you think Vince would say about the idea of responsibility?
Well, you would say that things just happen and we just get to watch and we're along for the ride or something like that.
Yeah. So if that is the case, let's imagine for a moment that it is the case. What does that say about responsibility?
It feels like that's a nice thought on the philosophical sense, like when I'm taking a walk, like late last night I took a walk and all of a sudden, I was like, oh, there's just walking happening and there's a body and there's a shadow and there's stuff, and I'm like, oh, is this what they mean by no self? And then I'm like, no, 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 you're back in thoughts, go back to the experience. And that kind of flickered back and forth for a few minutes. It was quite nice to just, the breathing and the this and all of that was there. And I was like, if I don't think about a me, then maybe there is no me, or maybe there is a me, I'm
Yeah.
just not thinking about it. And so I'm not
Yeah.
actually
Sure. Yeah. Yeah.
self-realized, but
So let me ask you this. Go back into memory, and when you were walking, and before the thought gyrations turned up, when you were just experienced walking, was there any responsibility anywhere other than as a story?
no, but it's those moments where it's like flow. It's just things are moving. But then when it
Yeah.
comes to decisions or people or other, there was no one around and it was quiet and it was lovely and the weather was okay. But any other time when there's pain, suffering, decisions, people,
Mm.
life, um, we have to come out of that flow state bubble and be a person and make decisions. And
Yeah. Well, you're right. We do have to adopt the stage character of a person in order to negotiate certain situations. For sure. Yeah, that's true. But we don't have to believe we are the character. I mean, if you were on the stage acting as, I don't know, one of Shakespeare's characters, you would be attempting to portray that character, but you would never for a moment believe you were actually that character, would you?
Yeah, but what about like compassion for the human and wanting the human to have a good life and to make good choices? I don't know, something about that.
Yeah. Well, I see that as a natural function that will exist when there's not pain to cover it up. You'll never be a person that doesn't care. It's that's not in your nature.
I guess I just haven't had these waves of panicky feeling in a while, and I'm afraid to go back and living in them because I used to live in them all the time.
Yeah,
And
sure. Yeah, yeah. So what if being afraid that that might come again is what you're experiencing? You're not actually experiencing it right now, are you?
I
There are,
am a little, yeah,
yeah, when you think about it.
yeah.
So if you don't think about it, you won't experience that, will you? Now, I'm not saying don't think about it, but I'm saying those moments when you're not thinking about it, when you're thinking about something else, you're not experiencing that fear, eh?
I guess I've been waking in the morning with that feeling of dread, anxiety, panic kind of thing, and feel like I'm fighting it at some
Yeah,
points.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I get that. Yeah. Well, you're not waking with it. You're waking and then getting it when the story turns up. Um, but sure, yeah, I hear what you're saying. Yeah. Can you get that no matter where you look in the world or what any surgeon might look for in your body, that nowhere ever will you be able to find a thing called responsibility? That what it is a story, a concept that gets overlaid on things, gives meaning to circumstances, but in itself, it is just a story. There's nothing solid, substantial, or tangible about it. Do you get that?
I'm not sure. I think they would find a part in the brain that makes decisions or something. You know what I mean? I don't know.
Well, they might find meat in the brain, but they're certainly not, or cholesterol or whatever it is, but they're certainly not going to find a thing called responsibility.
But they say the frontal cortex lobe thingies, and this one does that, and that one does that, and like they can see it lighting up, or I don't know.
Yeah, there are areas of the brain that process certain stuff. So some areas process audible stuff, and some areas process visual stuff, and some areas process speech, and some areas process memory, and well, maybe that's not quite right, that one, but anyway, yeah. So they're areas, but they're not going to find a thing called responsibility, no matter what they look for. It's just a story, and of course, if you were to grow up in a tribe in Africa or South America or somewhere, then your idea of responsibility would be different to what your idea of responsibility is now. So it's a taught thing, and it's socially determined. This thing called responsibility. It's not
Mm.
actual. But and I'm not trying to put it down. I'm saying I do get that when you feel responsible, that there is something tangible going on, but it's a response to a story.
Mm-hmm. You really think so? I mean,
I do.
Like
Yes.
like you wouldn't tell your kids, listen, you're responsible for your life, make good choices. Like you don't see things that way.
Well, that's a simplistic notion. No, I would talk in terms of consequences, um, but I would also recognise that we're having a fantasy story about possible consequences. But certainly, you don't go out and murder people because you're not responsible. That's stupid, isn't it? But to feel responsibility in the way you feel responsibility brings about suffering for you.
But if we just change the word to consequences and say, I'm afraid to choose things that the consequence of which will be panic, anxiety, fear, ill health. In other words, I want to choose things that bring a good life as a
Yeah,
consequence.
okay, but consequences can be um, looked at in a more precise manner. So certainly you can say if you start injecting yourself with heroin, it's very likely that you're going to become an addict. And we know that from other people's experience. It's not to say it's absolutely 100%, but it's very likely. So possible consequences when we're talking about stories of things, but we're not saying because of this edict determined by our society, you have to be a certain way. What we find is a lot of contradictions and a lot of problems that come from that kind of stuff. We can also find a whole lot of good stuff that comes from that as well. But people who don't feel responsible, it's not to say that the consequences of that is that they feel irresponsible. Not being responsible, not feeling responsible really simply talks about not having to be a certain way. That's not to say we won't be that way, but we will be that way for other reasons, not because of the rules that say we have to be that way. So I would
I
say
guess
by nature, most people will be fairly responsible, but that's just a way of describing it. It's not an actual thing. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
no, you didn't. Yeah, I guess I just feel like I don't know, it scares me to make decisions in my life. Like it's like I feel like I just don't know if I'm afraid of things or I don't want things. It's hard for me to know where to push myself through fear or anxiety because
Yeah.
like moving out was really scary, but it converged, but I couldn't do it myself for 10 years. It's like people had to kind of say, in other words, it had to come from elsewhere. I seem to be scared to do a lot of things, and if life forces me, I'll do them. And I'm like, well, I'm getting older, and should I kind
Mm,
of push myself to do certain things like with work or with dating or with friends or in other words or moving or I don't want to overwhelm myself because I feel a bit delicate and my nervous system is a little gets overwhelmed, so I it just feels so hard to find the way forward. And
mm,
anyway, I just I get scared because I want to choose things with good consequences and I don't know what that looks like for me.
sure. Yeah. 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 I mean, it's easy for me to say because that's my experience that you don't have to decide about any of that stuff. Life will make those decisions for you.
Hmm.
But I recognize that it's easy for me to say, and it's not easy for you to say that. Yeah.
Although I yeah, go on.
Or are you going to say that you do have some of that?
I do find that to be true. In other words, that's what I'm saying. It seems like, you know, someone begged me for 6 months to conduct, so I did. Someone begged me to teach their kids piano, so I did. Someone asked me to be their personal assistant and make them a website and publish their books and edit them, so I did. Someone asked me to translate for them, so I did for 20 years. Someone at
Yeah.
like, in other words, I don't seem to make it, this lady told me that my family's, not the best and I don't have to do this. And 6 months later, my father's like, hey, I'll help you. Let's move out. Like, it seems like
Yeah.
life is shoving me and I'm not making decisions, but it seems like maybe I have to man up and start making some decisions because life is
No,
passing me
no,
by. You know what I mean? Like,
sounds like it's working pretty well when you talk about it like that. It's just got a way to go, eh? But yeah, look, that's exactly the way life does it. So it could be that a suggestion comes from a friend or from an acquaintance or from a stranger. A suggestion comes from outside and somehow that resonates with you. And so there you go, away you go. Or it could just come from a thought, or it could come from something you read, or it could come from a post-it note on somebody's refrigerator door. Who knows where those messages might come from that you respond to. But if you're open to looking at those as possibilities, boy, that opens everything up. The whole world opens up for you.
yeah,
See,
I think
one
it
of the
just
one,
feels,
yeah,
go
go on.
on.
All right. Well, I was going to say, it seems like that's been working rather well for you, but somehow you haven't quite reached that threshold or that tipping point where you're you embrace it, where you trust it, right? You're still a bit suspicious of it. You still think it could go backwards if you don't keep pushing or something. But you're not actually pushing. It's happening in spite of that pushing rather than because of it, eh?
So I guess I would say two things about that. One is that, if we're looking at it in this way, then yeah, life is happening and pushing, but but my life, there's been a lot of struggle and discomfort and confusion, and it does not look like an ordinary good life or set up in any way. In other words, I've totally failed at life if you look at it in one way. And um, and then if we say, okay, fine, life pushed me and I'm scared of life, but life keeps forcing me to do things like move out and then move back in and then move back out and do other things. And life is kind of really pushing me to do stuff. But it feels like life is saying, sorry, I'm done pushing. Now you have to make it happen. You have to start like signing up for speed dating,
Yeah,
or
yeah.
you have to like advertise very heavily if you want to be a health coach now. Like it's saying like no more, there's no more offerings. Now you have to push uphill. And I'm like, but I don't know which direction help.
Right. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm laughing because if that's what life is saying to you, that's what life is offering you. It's the same thing. There's no difference. So if it's life is saying now you've got to do it, then that's life giving you a message, isn't it? But life wouldn't say it like that, I don't think. But it could be that way. So it's a bit of a trick, isn't it? That there is nothing that's not life. However, how life can present in many ways to you. It's like that bloke sitting on the roof of his house in the flood, sending away the rescue boat and the helicopter because God's going to save him. That's a bit like the same kind of thing in a way, isn't it? Life's offering you, and accept that the problem is that it's offering you in a form that makes you think it's you. And so then you go, oh, I don't know if I can. But
Yeah.
it's just the way life's offering it to you. Yeah, I'm not buttering you up or anything. You know me better than that, I think. But I fully believe that you know what you need to know to be your own authority. when it comes to these things. You've just got to stop with the old hysteria that gets you into a state. But if that turns up, that turns up too. That is the way it is. But you will always reach a point where you realise that's what's turned up, and as a result of realising it, it will change.
Yeah, and I think that's been turning up, and so it's been like just fear and sadness and like feeling like I'm a collapsed little girl. Like even my posture, I'm like with my head to the side, and I'm feeling like, oh my gosh, all vulnerable and whatever, and I'm just
Yeah, I get that.
um
I get that. Yeah. So like I haven't been well for a couple of weeks. I've had experiences where I haven't been well, and I'm coming good. But today, when we went out for a walk, I still wasn't back to my old self. I still got, we only walked a couple of kilometres before I said, "Oh, time to turn around and go home again." Um, so I guess what I'm trying to share with you is that there is this realization that things change all the time. And presumably, the more exercise I do, the fitter I'll get, and maybe pretty quickly I'll be back to as fit as I used to be, which wasn't great, but it's certainly a lot better than what it is at the moment. So maybe I'm recovering from the recovery, and when I was recovering from being a bit off, I was inactive a lot, and so consequently now I've got to build muscle again. I don't know, something along those lines. So what I'm trying to impart to you is that everything's always changing. So how I am right now, what I'm experiencing right now, is just the way it is right now. And it says nothing about the way it'll be tomorrow or later. I'm amazed sometimes how much a good sleep changes things.
yeah.
So if you feel sadness come up, feel it. And no, I don't mean let it take you into a sodden mess of chaos or anything. Just experience what's there, and you can do it in a kind of controlled way. You don't have to push it into a place where you become inoperable.
Mm-hmm.
Just don't deny it. That's all. So what I imagine will happen is that if you allow yourself to experience sadness, well, actually, it'll be grief, not sadness. If you allowed yourself to experience grief about the fact that this person is retired, uh, of course there will be some sadness, but attached to that will be stories about, well, what's going to happen now? What if? Right? And once those stories fall off, just the sheer sadness of the fact that she's no longer available, no longer there to support you, that will run its course and be gone, or at least mute. It'll happen and then it'll change. Everything's always changing.
Yeah, I think it's just the panic and the fear that I
Yeah.
fear will engulf me and I'll become inoperable.
Mm. Yeah.
They just
So,
remind me of times that were really, really difficult and I was not.
yeah. But that was the way it was, not the way it is. And the consequence, if you were to, again, allow a degree of it, you might find that you can touch the edge of it without getting completely swept away by it. And the consequence is that it will change. So one of the things that it would have been nice for her to have left you with was a really definite statement about you being able to be your own authority. And I feel quite strongly about that, that you are getting better and better at your being a good judge of what's going on. You're seeing things much more clearly than you used to, although there are still areas that I'd like you to see differently, but you'll get there. You'll get there because it's not like we have to change a belief. It's just like we have to be able to recognize what is actual. And what is actual is that not feeling that you're in a cage of responsibility does not turn you into an irresponsible person. You'll still be responsible, but for a different reason, not because of the cage, not because society says you're got to be responsible, but because that's just a good way to be. You will be that way.
Yeah, it just yeah, I think there's just a feeling that I'm not capable of making good choices or reasonable choices that will bring about a good life for myself or something like this. But
yeah, that's right. Well, that's perfectly reasonable because you don't decide those things anyway. But yeah, so I'm coming at it from a different angle than you would. But yeah, you don't have to worry about those things. They sort themselves out beautifully, but you
the
don't know
life
that
story.
yet. Yeah. But you will discover that. And when you do, you'll be able to relax.
I think there's also something about pacing, like how much do I need to throw myself like into discomfort or dysregulation? In other words, am I allowed to stay within safety? Like, can I take tiny steps or will I never get anywhere? It's just, I don't know,
Yeah.
those kind of things. But
Yeah. Well, again, experiment because really it's the old idea that you've got to throw yourself into something in order to make something happen is the way it seemed to be in the past, but it's what you're learning that that's not the way it actually is now.
like if I don't do things that feel too panic inducing, is that okay? Or will I
Yeah,
then be
yeah, that's fine.
avoiding life? But,
Yeah,
yeah.
but what I would suggest is that some of those things it might be valuable for you to just nudge the edge of it a little bit to recognize that you're not a victim of that stuff. Just play with it a little bit. Don't avoid it, but you don't need to push yourself into it either.
Yeah.
If you're feeling strong, nudge it a bit. If you're feeling weak, stay away from it.
Yeah. That makes sense.
The big thing for you, Tammy, is that there are lots of discoveries in front of you. And a lot of those discoveries are seemingly about yourself. But as you discover, you will reach a point where as you discover about them, you'll realize, of course, that it's not about yourself, it's about the way life works. And you're just life, part of life. You are just life. You are all of life. Yeah.
Mm.
So, it's okay to go with self-improvement to a certain level, and then you start to realize that it's not a self that we're improving at all. We're just getting more in touch with what is actual.
Mm.
So what are you feeling right now?
My brow is furrowed. I guess I'm like worried a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and feeling like it's like, why am I this person who needs external people like approval to tell me like, no, you don't have to push yourself there. Yes, you could do it there. Like, I don't know how people seem to function like on their own and be independent, but that's just thoughts. I guess feelings are yeah, I feel like a buzzing, like a little bit of the panicky stuff as if I have to keep that at bay, and I'm worried. I hope I can keep your words in mind and just keep some sanity around my day and not fall into like this stuff, you know, taking over. It just seems a little bit insurmountable. I guess my hope would be that that I find those pockets of calm and be regulated and that I'm able to move forward
Yeah,
from a sane place. But right now I just feel
yeah. Just think about this. Just think, how was life for you in the hours before that phone conversation? And then you realize that the stories that came out of the phone conversation are what have created a whole lot of the worry and concern and fear and sadness, grief that have happened since.
I lost you.
Well, before you had that conversation, before you knew she was retiring,
Ah, okay.
life was a certain way for you. And
Right.
then the consequence of that conversation changed your life for you.
Yeah. It just put me into fear, even though, like, for the last year, I wasn't really moving forward with her. In other words, on these different fronts.
Mm.
So it wasn't like it was just the knowledge that she was there, but it wasn't actually,
Yes.
I didn't feel
Yeah.
any progress in the last year or so. So it
Yeah.
wasn't, in
Yes.
other words, if she just said, "Oh, I can't meet this week. I have a cold," and that kept happening for the year, it would be different. So I recognize that on the one hand, but on the other hand, you know what I'm saying? Like it's just a story
Yep.
about law. But on the
Yeah.
other
Yeah.
hand, they're
So,
also,
can you celebrate the fact that you see that? That is a huge thing.
yeah, I see it, but tell it to the wave of panic that's coming up anyway.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah. Well,
weird.
that's okay. Yeah. You are telling it to that wave of panic, right? You're telling it that you recognize that a story has changed the way you feel.
But it's not just a story, it's having an external mirror or push or something. And yes, she hasn't been that for a year, but there was
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
possibility.
So even when she hasn't been that, it's been not too far from okay.
Yeah.
So really, that conversation that changed everything was just a story that changed everything.
Yeah.
And when you recognize that, that is huge. When you recognize that, all of a sudden it can take on a different level of importance.
Yeah. It's just my hormones aren't grokking it like
Yeah, sure.
adrenaline.
Yeah, yeah,
Cortisol
yeah.
are just like, we're
But
having a
they'll
field.
they'll settle down a lot quicker than you'd imagine. By the almost guarantee that within a couple of days they'll have settled down completely.
Mm-hmm.
When you realize that things now after the conversation aren't really actually any different to what they were before the conversation. It was just a
Yeah.
blip that happened as a result of the conversation. And when you recognize that, if you can see that, if you can see how prone you are to reactivity to stories, then all of a sudden that will generalize to a whole lot of other stories that you react to. And one of the big ones is this story of who you are, how functional you are, how normal you are, how whatever the stories are that you've got going about how you should be and how you're not. Will you start dating? Good heavens, as if you can control that. That'll happen or not.
Hmm. She was just like at the end, she's like, "You better start dating now." And I'm like, "What?"
No, well, maybe. Yeah, it'll happen or not. Simple.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess that's what's kind of, yeah, the reactivity and the not being able to control this panic stuff. And I'm like, help, it's coming back. That's it. She left and like I'm becoming a mess. So that story is like, yeah, I just want to go back to sanity, but the body's not listening. So
Hmm. Yeah. Well, it's not back to sanity, it's forward to sanity.
yeah. So what should I say about these old strong waves of stuff coming up and just
Yeah.
completely taking over?
Yeah, you definitely don't want to push them away. Neither do you want to invite them, but you do want to accept that they exist when they exist and look at what they actually consist of and look at what is actual as the perspective to look from. And what you'll find is actual is a whole lot of sensations with stories attached to them that give them meaning. And now you can see the impact of stories. Then a lot of those stories will simply drop off simply because you see them as stories. So that was a bit much, wasn't it? There was a lot there in that.
No, that was perfect. That was perfect. Yeah. Because
Mm.
as you're talking, I'm like allowing a wave of it and it's just so physical. I feel nauseous and dizzy and sick. Like it's just yeah, just watching the reaction real time to this story. Yeah.
Yeah, good one. Yeah.
Okay. I think that's
Thanks.
good.
Yeah, thank you, Tammy.
Thanks so much, Vince. Appreciate you very much.
I appreciate you too. Good value.
Thank you.
Okay, well, I've got a one-on-one in an hour and 3/4, so I'll head off and spend a little time with my wife before that happens. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Vince.
Thank you, Vince. Bye.
Bye.